and welcome. On our headlines today, Obi raises alarm over worsening insecurity. Dual membership saga. Chinda resigns as minority leader. This and many more after the break. Don't move Omozo. With me in the studio is a political analyst guest, Okoro Vincent. It's a pleasure to have you join us, Vincent.
Good afternoon, Tony. I am pleased to be with you today.
A politician, a one-time Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, says that politicians are focusing on 2027 upcoming election rather than tackling the insecurity issue that is facing Nigeria. That is maybe I'll say it is a claim. I don't know how to put it. And he went for that to cite the community incident that happened in Borno State that claims over 50 students, over 51 students being kidnapped in Borno State, and then the killing of a nursing college manager in Ihiala, then the kidnapping of 2 Reverend sisters in Anambra State, the Plateau incident that led to the death of over 7 people, and everyday reports of bandits terrorizing states like Zamfara, Katsina, and Imo State. So when he makes that claim that politicians are busy focusing on 2027 election, is he himself inclusive or excluding himself from the equation?
Okay, first and foremost, I'm trying to imagine how comfortable it is for us to be discussing these issues of in-season security that is taking the lives of our fellow citizens, that is putting our fellow citizens in depression in the forest. And of course, anytime I recall the fact that so many of our citizens are being victims of insecurity, it gives me depression personally. So, you know, it's so sickening to say the least. Now, the presidential candidate of the NDC, because personally I don't refer to any contestant in this current election by their past title of being a former presidential aspirant of the Labour Party, because he's no longer in that party now. Yeah. Of course, his journey took him from the Labour Party to the NDC, and today he's with the NDC. So trying to call on politicians to more or less focus on governance and then give a break as far the politicizing of insecurity is concerned. You know, our politicians will always try to capitalize on anything they can hold their hands to, you know, to score cheap political points, as we always say. And then this is basically what is happening right now across our polity. So I think the call of Peter Obi is a welcome development. And then every well-meaning Nigerian out there, or every well-meaning Nigerian politician out there, is expected to join their voices to that of Peter Obi, you know, so that we don't find ourselves in a trap where instead of us to be talking about how to come out from the spate of insecurity across the length and breadth of the country, then we try to see how we can make a meal out of the situation for, you know, for our advantage. I mean the politicians in this case. Now, you asked me a question with respect to if Peter Obi is inclusive as far as the call is concerned. Yeah. Of course, somebody, some person will even say he is even actually making a meal for himself. You know, because we have a situation where you are either on the right of a thing or on the left. Now, if you are on the left, there are advantages and disadvantages. If you're on the right, same applies. So if I am shouting, Tinubu cannot solve insecurity, cannot solve the problem of insecurity, I don't understand the kind of president, and beckon Nigeria to vote me and don't vote Tinubu, then you look at me as somebody that is actually trying to paint the president black in order for me to be at advantage as far as the hive of the electorate are concerned. If I come out at the same time and I'll start saying all politicians should stop talking about the fact that the president is incompetent, that is not our problem now. Our problem now is to encourage the president in order for him to solve the problem of insecurity. Of course, whatever disadvantage accruing to those that are calling on him to solve the problem, that is being incompetent to solve the problem of insecurity, whatever disadvantage that is accruing to them that they are using to score cheap political points, me that is going on the reverse, that becomes an advantage to me. So that is where it becomes, of course, debatable whether the person of Peter Obi is, on the side of trying to use such commentary to draw public attention. But what is more important, actually, is for us to look at the face value of what he has said. What he said is simple. Don't politicize the issue of insecurity because you want to win 2027. So if you look at it on the surface, the man is in order.
All right. Thank you so much, Vincent. In your analysis, you mentioned that the government are not really doing something about rescuing these victims. But oftentimes, they usually say that they have rescued massive, there have been massive operations that is going on. There's the bandits, the security agents are into this, they are into that. But yet, we don't see any results. The victims are still in captivity. Why is there so much massive gap between official PR and the reality on ground? Okay, so I am pleased that you actually said, why is it that there's so much massive gap? Yeah. Because if we sit down here and tell the public that the government is not doing anything, I can call that a disservice. Yes, I can call that. We're actually seeing our forcemen, whether the police or the army, in checkpoints as we travel along our roads, and then we have seen the members of our military being victim of this insecurity we are talking about. For example, I'm a member of the army, then I'm posted to Sambisa Forest. Of course, if, for example, you are a family member to me, that information comes to you, then you find out that you become uncomfortable. But I have to answer to the last command as a military officer. Then I go to the Sambisa Forest and sometimes I don't come back. So if I am a victim of such, you know that, okay, prior to me going to losing my life in this case, I have been getting something back home, maybe when I'm paid, then my mother, my grandmother, my relative, get to enjoy a little from what I'm getting from the government. I believe that you will not agree in that case that the government is not doing anything. Of course, you cite me as an example that, okay, my husband, my brother, my uncle was actually sent to Sambisa Forest to fight security. These are the successes that they recorded, and of course, these are the failures. Now, the failures could be that they were not even able to rescue the victims at all. We have had situations in this country where, because of the action of our military, our police, and all the rest of them, victims are were actually set free. We have seen in this country where students of a school are kidnapped, and at the end of the day, they return unearthed. Of course, the issue now is the gap between the success and the failure thereof, between the action part and the inaction, the massive gap between purposefulness and paying lip service to a call to duty. So, of course, there's a massive gap there. And we believe that the government is actually doing what they can, to close that gap. I believe that is what we should be advocating for. The gap is massive. Yes, the gap is massive. For example, I don't understand how we have drones, how we have aircraft, and all the rest of them. There will between hours in which scores of people, students, and villagers and what have you, are taken away from their environment, and then within an hour you tell me that you can't have a trace when you have all these security apparatus. So the government actually need to come together, sit up and close the gap so that we can start seeing results. Okay, talking about having security apparatus like the drones and so on and what have you, the 5,000 CCTV camera that the president actually promised, and then the sudden deployment of 1,000 forest guards into making sure that these victims are actually rescued. Yeah, the ones in your state. Yes. So what exactly should the government do to actually bridge this massive gap?
Of course, you just mentioned already what they are trying to do. So we have a 1,000 forest guard. So hopefully, maybe we are going to have a 1,000 per every village. If that is their plan, I don't know. Why I'm saying this is that the state of insecurity is such that it is difficult for you to know its next. So meaning that you know, it is not enough for the government to come out and say, okay, it has happened here. Then we are deploying 1,000 forest guards. What about the next village? Because we should be more interested in being proactive than being reactive. Because I believe that proactiveness is the angle you are coming from. But to see our government, every time they are reactive, before they will ever act, before they will ever put on their thinking cap, before they will ever leave their comfort zone, incidents have happened already. People have been kidnapped, people have been killed, people have been beheaded, people are already suffering discomfort. And that is the reason why, of course, the effort, it seems that the government is not doing anything. Because the effort by the government, since it is reactive, it waters down everything. Because I cannot lose my wife to banditry, and then you will now tell me that by deploying 1,000 drones, 10 million forest guards, it can't bring her back. So whatever you are doing makes no sense to me. You will not expect that I am crying by a grave, and then because I heard that you deployed 1,000 guards, then automatically my tears will dry off. That is not possible. So that is why the call should be on government to be proactive. Now, in terms of what they need to do, I believe that when you have the passion, when the empathy is there, when you are compassionate about what the citizens are going through, for you to act will not be a problem. And another thing is that when will our government stop politicizing, rather, issue of appointments? When will they start putting round peg in round holes? This is one of the things I see as a major problem that is, you know, instigating the kind of insecurity that we are having in our society. So these are the issues. So basically, the government need to actually understand that when they do election, when elections are done, they are voted at the point beyond that line. Once you cross the line where oath of office is administered to you, you are no longer the normal politician. You are now a leader, such that you don't come and start picking someone who is a head professional because a politician, it is only the Minister of Defense that is available. Then you now make him Minister of Defense. What does he know about fighting insecurity? So I think if the government of the day in Nigeria realize their call to duty and they need to always do the right thing from the word go, it becomes very easy for them to implement whatever that needs to be done in order to solve the problem of insecurity that continue to accompany us from day to day, month to month, year to year, election season after election season.
All right, thank you so much for that analysis. Let's move away from that to another development about Chinda resigning from his party. You know, we're looking at dual membership saga and immorality of politicians. You know, Kingsley Chinda, who is a flag bearer of APC in Rivers State, recently resigned from the PDP to the APC, and we have never seen him carrying APC membership card. He's been a member of
the PDP.
So how come he suddenly became a flag bearer in the APC? Well,
if you ask me, I can comfortably put the question back to you because I'm as surprised as you. Yes, because the person we are talking about is the minority leader.
Yes, in the House of Rep.
The House of Rep. Now, I believe that some of our viewers may not understand what it means
to be a minority.
To be a minority leader. Now, when they are saying yes, have it and no, have it and not, what have you, you see that people vote in party lines. Now, the majority tends to carry the vote. Now, in the House of Representatives, where is the minority leader? The majority there is the APC. Now, at the aggregation of other parties, that succeeded in producing members of the House that are not the APC. He is their head, or he is their leader. Now, at the point of contesting for the APC primary, he remained the minority leader. Why? Now, that automatically tells you that assuming he is a member of the APC, automatically he will cease to be a member. He will cease to be the minority leader of the House. But it's just a fortnight ago that he formally stepped down as the minority leader of the House. So that placed a very big question on Kingsley Chinda. Now, more importantly, this is not just about Chinda alone. We should not be talking about the integrity of our politicians. Because you cannot tell me that you instigate discomfort around my environment, then I keep quiet. You cannot tell me you are in an environment of 100 of us, you instigate issues, everyone keep quiet. In this case, you just mentioned the issue of morality. Yes, that's a question of morality. Because number one, you are a minority member of the House. A party, then you move into a party where you have other members that have their aspiration of being members of that particular political party. Then for whatever hook or by crook, whether you have some persons in that particular party at your beck and call, you came and you became the governorship aspirant. Why you have not resigned from your party where you are a minority leader in the House? As a matter of fact, this is not subject to the electoral law, and then for our judiciary to interpret, maybe we should begin to even start the conversation if there will be need for those that sent Kingsley Chinda to the House of Representatives to push for his recall. Yes, because this is a party elected you to power, to an office. At the end of the day, your people rather elected you under a platform to represent them, and then without recourse to the reason why they choose that particular platform to elect you, then you leave to another party. What does our electoral law say about that? Of course, that should be a conversation, not just the moral issue alone. Of course, the issue of why should he take the mandate of his people from one particular political party to another without recourse to his people? I think that should also form our conversation too. Okay. When I say our conversation, I mean the public, especially those that elected him to that office.
All right. Talking about the law, Section 68 of the Nigerian Constitution actually stated that defection can only happen if there is factional division in the party. But in PDP, I don't think there's any division. There's no faction in the party. There's no division because the court already acknowledged this Wike faction when they had their convention in sometime March this year. They acknowledged them, and they actually nullified that of Turaki faction when they had their convention in November 2025, meaning that the court only recognizes Wike's faction. So hence there is no division in the PDP. Do you think that the party, or should the party actually challenge this is defection based on the fact that there is no division in the party, or is that avenue, that legal avenue, actually dead in Nigerian politics?
You just said yourself that we have Turaki faction and we have Wike faction. Then after the court acted. Now, I'm not a lawyer or a legal advisor to begin to interpret the judgment of the court. Because what I know is that at the end of the day, the National Working Committee was empowered by the court to take over the leadership of the PDP going forward. That automatically tells me that the Board of Trustees now, not the National Working Committee. Yeah. Now that automatically tells me that the National Committee led by Wike, and let me say that's under the leadership of Wike, because he is not he's not a leader in that National Committee. It's just like they are loyal to him, or he's the one that dictate whatever they do and what have you. And the one led by Turaki and Makinde, these are actually two factions that represent division. Then as of today, the Board of Trustees, now before we are talking about division, I think I can use our local, in our local parlance, they call it scatter scatter. Now the PDP is even more divided than before. When you look at the action of the Board of Trustees, that is being unofficially challenged by the Wike-led faction. Now coming to Kingsley Chinda, I think if we are looking at the state of PDP right now, I believe we are going to miss it. Because for the fact that, if there's any fact rather, or if there's a reality that there's division in the PDP, that does not empower, what is his name now, Chinda, to go contest for governorship ticket under the APC, while he is still minority leader. So let's be careful so that we don't play like the Nigerian politician here. Because I believe that we are here, of course we are here to provide clarity, especially to the listening public. So I don't want a situation where I will say because there is no division, that is war, there is division, that is not the subject matter. The subject matter is you are a member of you are a member of National Assembly, a minority leader, you want to contest in another political party. What all you need to do is to have stepped down from your role as minority leader, defect officially, wave your party flag, if possible, call the national leader of APC to raise your hand up. You know how they do it. You know, they will gather people and then they raise the hand up that we have catch a new fish, a big fish, you know. And then those that are if yes have you say yes, and those that say nay, they clap for him, and then we now know that okay, you are now a party, a member of the APC. They go ahead and contest. So that is where the honors of this whole conversation lies. Was Kingsley Chinda a member of the APC? Did he resign from his leadership as the minority leader? Did he leave the PDP? Did you see him tear the membership card of PDP the way Obasanjo did when they were trying to push one of the big political players at the time out of office? Did he do that? Maybe you have the pictures. I don't have them.
All right, so lastly on this segment, judging by the turnout of events, what should other minority cargos do in order to restore their credibility on track? Okay,
you are looking at, I'm a member of PDP in the House of Assembly or House of Rep. I'm a member of PDP in my state, and then I'm committed to the PDP. And right now, one of the persons that is the face of our party is gone in a kangaroo style, in a kangaroo style. Now, what should they do? If one, we are looking at purposefulness. We are talking about our politicians here. Are they purposeful? Are we not going to hear tomorrow that if actually there's a pathway for him to leave the PDP to the APC, they are not going along? Because this is what we keep seeing. That is the reason why we have 1/3 of governors in Nigeria in the opposition, and today I doubt if we have 1/10. It's reducing by the day, barring the likes of Alesoti, Makinde, I think Bala Mohammed. The rest have all migrated. They have all jumped ship. They have all betrayed the trust of their people, and then they are now in the ruling party. Now, Chinda moving to the ruling party, we sure that our politicians in the PDP, in the minority, have the guts to stand and said, we are going to fight for this injustice for the benefit of our party. I doubt we have politicians like that in Nigeria. All right, thank you so much, I'm Vincent. We've come to the end of the show, State of the Matters. Many thanks, Vincent, for joining us on the show. Well, it's always my pleasure. Of course, we expect that our politicians will actually rise up for once, to start doing what they are supposed to do for a prosperous Nigeria. Exactly, and stop this political immorality. And to you, our amazing viewers, for tuning in, do well to join us next time for more breaking news, and have a beautiful day.